And welcome back to another one-on-one session in the treehouse. Today we have a very special guest, Don Chin, here with us
Hey,
today. Don, do you want to maybe just introduce yourself a little bit so people know?
sure. Hi, guys. My name is Don Chin. I am, gosh, how old am I now? I'm like 58. I've been doing comics since probably before Armin was born. But I am kind of known for doing humorous parodies. I had a company called Parody Press back in the 90s. And before that, I was the creator of the adolescent radioactive black belt hamsters, which was the very first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles parody back in the 80s. So
Ah,
yeah, I've been doing comics since the pretty much since the late 70s, and then I kind of took a break to do real estate for my last project that I did, other than the two last year, were like 2007. So I almost took like a 15-year
oh
break, and
boy.
I felt the itch to come back to comics. And so I've been kind of doing streams and, having
Yeah,
people like you on my
we,
show. And
we need you back, Don. We need you back in the
I
community creating
know, I
comics.
know, I want
I
to write
have to
more.
say that
And
you sent me a copy of your newest one, Beardserker, and
yeah,
of course Billy Teacher Sheen there. But this, Don, I have to say this was a surprise to me. I think this was probably the most impressive thing I've seen in indie comics uh,
really.
in like the past like few years,
Oh,
particularly
thank you,
because.
Armin.
And I mean that because I was so surprised. Like I was not expecting it. I don't think a lot of people are expecting how good this book was. What was your reactions
Oh,
when people were? What are people's reactions to it when you did you hear any
uh,
feedback?
I think a lot of people, we don't really have humor that much anymore in the world. And I
Yeah,
think, when I was growing up, I used to go down to the store and pick up Mad magazine and Cracked. That was another one that was kind of inspirational to me. So, we're in such a politically correct climate. It's like everybody's afraid to make comedy anymore. And so I just kind of felt, after COVID and everything, everybody needs to laugh again.
yes,
So
yes.
that's kind of our pitch line, is making the world laugh again.
Yeah, again,
Um,
maybe I'm like the perfect target, reader or market, but for me, like I'm a comedian. I consider myself, I do pranks on YouTube and stuff like that. So I definitely understand the need for comedy, and this was just so well done. It's like it was so much went into it. It's like a love letter to a lot
Keanu,
of Keanu Reeves's
yeah,
movies, and
yeah.
you have a few in there, and it was yeah, it was just so great because there was so much attention to detail. How long did it take you to make this? Um,
Well, when I heard that Keanu was doing the actual Berserker comic book with Boom, it just kind of lit a little spark, and I felt like uh, seems like it's going to be a big project, and you could tell by the number of orders that they were getting. I think on Kickstarter it was in the millions, and
hmm.
so I just kind of like, that's been my modus operandi, is just to find out what I think is going to be hot, and try to catch the wave. So to me, Berserker by Keanu was like one of the biggest comic book events of the last couple of years. So I just thought, okay, well, let me see. Maybe we can do this kind of a Conan-esque take on Berserker, but make him Keanu, like from the movie. So he's kind of like the 16-year-old kid in a 40-year-old body, and he's been in a deep sleep for like the last 20 plus years. So they wake him up, and they can't figure out anybody else to solve the world's problems. So they send Beardserker out to do that. So
No,
yeah, it took about. I'm sorry, I didn't answer the question. It took about a few months to write the script, and then about a year to get the whole project, finished from the time that we gave it to the artist. And so yeah, we
so
had a
did
lot
you?
of people.
When did it start though? When did it the idea of it start? You said was it that Kickstarter for the Berserker book when it was announced, or what exactly? You
Yeah,
know.
I saw the trailer, and I just, my wife and I watched it, and we were just brainstorming on, what would be funny. And then sometime, I think maybe I woke up, and I thought, why don't we make the two Z's like ZZ Top? Because that's what
Mm,
this,
yes.
ZZ Top was a really popular 80s band, and they had these huge beards. So we kind of merged the lore of Keanu Reeves as a kind of a sword and sorcery action hero with the idea of a beard that's totally uncontrollable, but also has its own power. So I just kind of thought, why not just go way over the top? And that's what it is.
No, it is, and it's oh man, it's so good. I think a lot more people need to read this book. I think you
Thank
talked
you.
about people need to enjoy reading it, and I had so much fun reading this. Again, it reminded me back. There was even I don't know, there was so many cameos, and maybe one of my favorites where there was like a long line for the bathroom wait, and then all of the fun characters, the two characters from Mad World were there, or um oh, it just brought back like the MTV days for some reason. I was just like, this is hilarious. This is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Bill
Um,
Mouse, he's my artist, and we've collaborated since, gosh, the very first thing we worked on was like back in '92. And so he does a lot of the visual gags. Oh, and if you ever go back and read Mad Magazine or Crack Magazine, the movie satires, there's always kind of like these little Easter eggs throughout the artwork. And Bill did a lot of the, I told him that in the front of the line, we need to have Marty McFly and the professor, and then Arnold the Terminator in the front of the line. But he drew all the other people. Like, I think there's like Cousin It and Wonder Woman and just this huge line of people needing to use the bathroom. So
oh yeah, it was great. So I don't know if you know this, Don, but so I had a previous stint in Hollywood, right? And one
really,
of the crowning memories that I have of that time is actually getting to meet Keanu Reeves. And I shook his hand. We had a
how
conversation.
cool.
I went to one of the premieres. His sister's a producer, and he made like some kind of surprise appearance to kind of support her. And he watched the entire movie, and then it was like a close off theater. But then we got to kind of chat with him afterwards. And it was he's just the coolest guy, and he's so down to earth, and all the stories about him you hear are true, basically. So
Yeah.
he's he's had I didn't really know this until I met him, but like everybody, he's had a tough life, but he keeps going, and he keeps it's quite amazing. So to kind of even see this, I've been a big fan of him, for a while, ever since that moment I met him, and then now like seeing this, again, just elevated my how I appreciate him and him in the movies.
Are you a John Wick fan? Do you like
I
those
am a
movies?
John Wick fan. Yes.
Yeah. I kind of got on the John Wick bandwagon late because I saw 1 and 2 come out, and everybody was talking about how great they were. So my wife and I think when 3 came out, we watched it, and we bought the whole trilogy, digital, because it was so good. Because after they kill his dog, it's all over. That was like when you see that and you're a pet lover, you go, oh, everybody's gonna die now. But I really like Keanu, and I've been watching him since I was, even before Bill and Ted. I think he was in like other things, and I just said, this guy's gonna go somewhere. He's really funny, and lo and behold, here we are talking about him, 30, 40 years later.
That's amazing. And I just found I don't know if I should show, but
Sure, you can check. Spoilers.
It's the Wayne's World a camera right here. I love that. I don't even know why. I just thought that like so much attention to detail went, again, there was so much attention to detail for the parody, in particular for the comedy. So yeah, it was just so good.
Well, you can't. It's almost like if you grew up in the '80s and '90s, Wayne's World was just so funny, and I just had to incorporate those guys into the it's basically an '80s throwback, '80s '90s love letter, and to all the Keanu movies and whatnot. And we do it out of love. We're not like trying to be malicious. I think
no, definitely. It came across like that. I've got to know. So you mentioned one line about in the book that was very well done about what you can and can't say in this book. Has anybody ever come after you, Don? Has anybody ever come after you for any of your parody books?
I should say we've been pretty fortunate not to ever have any type of litigation, but I did hear from another comic book show host named Dan Shaheen that Boom Studios was aware of our parody, and I think they were kind of actually not against it. I heard that they were actually looking forward to it. So I sent a whole package of all the variant covers down to Boom Studios, I think about 3 months ago. I have not heard anything back, but I put on a little post-it note, please give this Keanu, no hard feelings. And I would love to see like someday on social media for Keanu to actually say, I'm reading Beardserker and thinks it's funny, but that hasn't come yet. But I think the only time we ever got really kind of a cease and desist, Armin, was when we were doing a Marvel parody of the Punisher back in the 90s called The Pummeler. And so we did a couple of issues of Pummeler. There was like the original Pummeler that had Mike Barron in it. He did a story in it. And then we did a Pummeler $2,099, which was kind of a parody of the Marvel 2099 series. So we did a couple one-shots, and then we advertised in the comic book shop distribution magazine that we were going to do Pummeler versus Sergeant USA, and that was kind of like a Punisher versus Captain America parody. And Sam Keith had done the cover for 2 of the Pummeler books that we did. So we advertised the Pummeler Sergeant USA book, and before we could even get it going, Marvel sent us a letter and said, please stop parodying Punisher, or we'll take you to court, in a gentle way.
Yeah.
So we had to scratch that project because we didn't want, even if we proved that parodies are legal, we didn't want Marvel to kind of be breathing down our backs.
No.
And then they went bankrupt, I think. So everybody was having trouble back in the 90s.
It's possible that they wouldn't have spent the money coming after you because they were worried about their own, they're doing
right. Exactly. Our books, I'd be worried if our books were selling more than their books, but that wasn't the case.
No, I definitely, I think parodies have a place in this market. Again, I haven't really seen it, especially lately. What's next, Don? Do you have another project you're itching to go after? What can we expect more? I think there's a lot more fans that now kind of want more from you.
I kind of left Beardserker open-ended, and I said to be continued, and I really wanted to just kind of gauge what the response would be. And I think that if we did a second one, I think it would sell better. And I have ideas, to kind of streamline and be a little more simplified. So I think when you do a campaign, there's always the temptation to keep on throwing in, all these different stretch goals and stuff. And that's all well and good. But I think at the end of the day, the fans just want, the comic book delivered on time.
Yes.
That's the most important thing. They want good communication between us, if we're doing a crowdfund, between us and the, the backers. And I think you do a great job of that. So Beardserker 2 is something that I'm plotting out right now. And I've got, certain artists that I would love to work with on that. We've got, I did a story for The Fourth Age, which is the guy that does Thomas Valiant. And that's kind of a throwback superhero, almost like, I don't know if you used to read Plastic Man, or he was kind of like a Mr. Fantastic type of character in the DC universe. He could stretch and make himself a ball and bounce around. So, Thomas Valiant is kind of like, what if Plastic Man and Mr. Fantastic were, they were serious. And so RJ came to me and says, I want you, Don, to do a throwback story for Thomas Valiant. But this was before he was Thomas Valiant. He was really named Putty Man back in the 70s. So I'd like you to kind of do this throwback, retro, corny, campy, almost like Batman, Adam West Batman type of story with Putty Man in it. So I actually wrote a story for Putty Man. And that's something that I think he's going to come out with this year. And he's in the process of fulfilling Thomas Valiant, which is like 1,000 orders. So he's been a little bit behind, but I'm really looking forward to that, because I think people will see a different side to my writing, because it's not really a parody. It's actually me writing a comic book like if I was in the 70s and I was just writing a typical fun superhero, type adventure.
I think I'm definitely eager to read that. I think a lot of people will be
Thanks.
too. Thank
It
you.
would be
Thank you
great.
so much. Thank you so much, Don, for coming on the show, hanging out in the treehouse. Again, you were on the show, the live show. We'll have you back. It's always a fun time chatting with you, and I appreciate you coming on talking about parodies today. Any
My
last words you
pleasure.
want to tell, the viewers, the fans?
Yeah, actually, I do want to let people know I do have a YouTube channel, which is just type in Don Chin on YouTube. I have a couple thousand subscribers, and so every week on Wednesdays, I usually try to do a live show, which is about an hour long, and I like to feature people like you or people that are looking to just let their talent be known. And so every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern time, they can watch my show, and we'd love to have you on again too, because we had a great time when you launched on our show. So
Yes, yes.
that's about it. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you, Don.